So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Kaduki back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Monday, June 28th. Hopefully everybody's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Monday, June 28th here today. Hopefully everybody had a very good weekend. It was, in fact, another big weekend in sports. Obviously, Yankees get destroyed by the Red Sox. They lose in 3 games. They get swept. Not good. Simple as that. It was terrible. It was bad. And we just can't find ways to win right now. And, obviously, we got on a little bit of a roll. We beat the Blue Jays. We beat the A's. You beat the Royals, and you get on a little bit of a roll, and all of a sudden you're confident, and then you go into Boston with a big series on tap, an opportunity to continue to roll, an opportunity to, shut down your rival a little bit, and now we move to 0-6 on the season against the Boston Red Sox, and now we open up a 4-game set against the Angels, and the Angels, even though the record might not show it, they are a very talented team, and they've got a very talented roster. They've got a lot of good guys in that team, and their record might not show that they're that good. The record might not show that they're that good as they are 3 games below 500, but they're a good team, and the Yankees now have to go home and figure out a way to try and at least split this series against the Angels. Obviously, it's a 4-game set, so today to Thursday, so a very long set, 4-game set. Today is the first game, then tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then we have 3 next week, this upcoming weekend, which will be 4th of July weekend, against the Mets, and that's another big series, not only because it's the Mets, and also the Yankees could very well go into that series at maybe a 500 record if we lose 3 here, or lose all. Well, no, we can't. We can't actually take that back. We can only go into this either above 500, below 500, because if we get swept by the Angels, which would be terrible, that would mean that we were below 500. So, and then we go into that series, and that's a big series. No matter how each team's doing, that's a big series because it's Yankees Mets at Subway Series. So, we got to see how things play out. We got to hope that the Yankees get this thing turned around, and they need to turn it around quickly because we are not playing good baseball, and I'm going to get to it in the first segment. Obviously, I'm going to talk about it. I'm not going to just avoid talking about it. I'm going to get to it right in the first segment, and we'll get into it. We'll talk about it. And obviously the Mets are not very good either this weekend as their bats continue to stay quiet, and hopefully they do stay quiet. They continue to struggle as well. Their bats get quiet as well yesterday. So, neither of the New York teams really living up to expectations this season. And you could bash me for saying that if you're a Met fan and saying, oh, well, this is a team that missed the playoffs and we're first in our division. I understand you're first in your division, and I get that you're 40-33. But, still, the Mets are not playing good baseball right now. They're 4-6 in their last 10 games, and their bats are getting quiet. And, again, their bats are getting quieted, and they're just not being able to hit, and they're not being able to come up with a big hit. And I find it's the same thing. I find they're in a very same situation as the Yankees. They can't get the big hit, and they can't get many hits. Now, the Yankees have been able to get hits recently, but they can't get that big hit to score and runs and drive and runs, and I'll get to that in the first segment. And obviously, Stanley Cup starts today. NBA playoffs continued last night. Bucks got a win, and tonight an opportunity for the Phoenix Suns to take Game 5 and move on to the NBA Finals against whoever wins the Bucks-Hawks series, which right now the Bucks have a 2-1 lead on the Atlanta Hawks as they will head back. Actually, no. They will stay back. They will stay in Atlanta for another game. Game 4 tomorrow night. And Phoenix Suns have an opportunity to punch their ticket to the NBA Finals and await the winner of the Bucks-Hawks. And I find it crazy how fast the NBA playoffs have already gone. I find it crazy because they're at, first round, usually the series don't go too long. Usually because, you got your 8 seed, your 1 seeds, your 2 and your 7s, your 3s and the 6s. It's really when you get into the later rounds where they're quick series. But even now, we might see the Suns knock out the Clippers in 5 games. The fact that might happen is just wild because you're talking about 2 very good teams and sitting with the Bucks-Hawks. And the Bucks-Hawks, we weren't expecting that. But Still, both these series might be done in 5-6 games, which is very quick compared to maybe going the distance and going 7. Obviously, Stanley Cup starts today as well. Lightning, Canadiens. Islanders took the loss. I might get to them a little bit. I was going to give you a Stanley Cup preview, so I might talk a little about the Islanders in the beginning. Happened on Friday. It's simple as it is. Islanders didn't play good enough hockey. The Lightning were the better team. They knew they were the better team, and they ultimately played better. And it's simple as that. So let's get to the topics for today's podcast. Obviously, Yankees get swept. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to talk about the series. I'll spend a little bit on the series. This is kind of one of these series where you want to just roll up in a ball and just throw away. I'm going to talk a little about the series, but I also kind of want to give you kind of a whole update on the Yankees, kind of like an entire just situation of the team. Talk about some trades. Talk about talk about some of the trades. Talk about some of the things that we could possibly do, with this team. Talk about just the issues with this team. Because there are issues with this team. There are some fans out there going a little too ballistic with what's wrong with this team. But there are issues nonetheless, and I'll get into them. So I want to talk about that. Then I want to get into the Stanley Cup preview. Obviously tonight, Game 1, Lightning, Canadiens. Game 1 tonight should be exciting. Lightning right now is favored for Game 1. Obviously the Canadiens, their magical run. We'll see if they find a way to win it all. We'll see if the Lightning shut them down. Lightning need to continue to do what they're doing. They're playing, their goalie's been very good, Vasilevsky. He's already got 12 wins. He needs 4 more. He's been very good. And you look at the rest of the team, they've been playing very well. And, against the Islanders, they played very good defense against the Islanders. The Islanders were not able to get many shots on goal. The Islanders were not able to get many close shots. And that's what the Islanders were so good at doing, is getting close to the net, screening the goalie, and getting a lot of the shots, really close to the net. And as I like to say, shots that are in the trenches. Shots that are going to take a lot of physicality. Shots that might not be beautiful, but they might be tip-in shots. They might be, 1 or 2 passes and a slap shot. They might not be this star-studded 2-on-1 between the legs play, but they get the job done, and the Lightning were able to stop that. So that's big. Then I wanted to get into the New York sports update. Obviously, as always, we'll finish off the podcast with the New York sports update. Yankees played today, open up a 4-game set against the Angels. The Mets also played today against the Nationals, and the 1 game. Then they head to Atlanta for 3. Then they come back home to play the Yankees. So it's weird. A 1-game set for the Mets at Nationals. Very odd, but a 1-game set. Then they played against Atlanta for 3 games. And then they go to the Yankees for 3. So, and obviously Game 1 of the finals tonight. Other than that, Nets, Knicks, Islanders, all done for the season. So right now, the only New York sports teams we got in session are the Yankees and the Mets. And right now, they're not putting the best product out there on the field. They're not putting the best show out there, to say the least. They're the only New York sports teams playing right now, as all the others are done. Obviously, football is still in the offseason. Hockey's all, Islanders and Rangers are done, and Nets and Knicks both got eliminated. The only New York sports teams right now that are playing are not putting on a very good show. So we'll see if they can find a way to bounce back. But with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So to put it simple as this, it was a terrible weekend for the New York Yankees in Boston. And there's no other way to put it. There's no sugarcoating. There's no other way to say it. The Yankees were terrible this weekend. We did not play good enough baseball. And ultimately, the Red Sox this season are the better baseball team. And there's not much other ways I could either put it there. The Red Sox are the better team. We're 0-6 against the Red Sox this season. And like I said, to put it as simple as that, I'm going to sound like a broken record. We were terrible this weekend. And I'm going to spend some time here to reflect on this weekend. And I will. Right? Because this weekend was not good. We obviously lost. We got swept. That's the one thing. It's not even that we lost the series. It's the fact that we got swept. You can't tell me you could have at least yesterday went out and at least salvaged the 3rd game of that set and at least went home with something to maybe be a little bit happy about. Go home on a winning note. Maybe get the last little punch on the Red Sox. I know they won games 1 and 2, but at least if you could have won game 3, had the lasting punch on them, then head home to play the A's. No, the Yankees could not do that yesterday. Yesterday was their worst game of them all, as they lose 9-2. The first two games, they were actually not bad games. The Yankees actually had opportunities. They didn't strike. They didn't take advantage of their opportunities. And yesterday, they game 1 on Friday, they lost 5-3. Game 2 on Saturday, they lost 4-2. And then yesterday, the third game of the 3-game set, they lost 9-2. So the first two games were close. The first two games did come down to the wire. The first two games, the Yankees had opportunities. But yesterday, losing 9-2 was just simply terrible. And I understand Cole was not good. He was not good at all. Yankees fans are being too out of proportion with Garrett Cole. All right, you can't expect the guy to be perfect. He's going to have a bad start here and there. It happens to every single pitcher. It happens to the best of them. You can't have your best stuff every day. Simple as that. Cole did not have his best stuff yesterday. It's simple as that. So Yankees fans that are blowing Cole's start out of proportion, saying that he's not good anymore, people, calm down. He had one bad start, okay? He had one bad start. You gotta calm down, okay? He had one. I'm not denying it was a bad start. But, and I'm going to say too, he was terrible. He was not good. But it's one bad start. So I'm saying this too. You don't need to panic. If he starts to have a couple really bad starts, 3-4 bad starts in a row, then there might be time to panic. He's had one bad start. Okay? It's going to happen to the best of them. I mean, DeGrom this weekend was in line for his first loss of the season. I don't think he got it. But still, DeGrom had the worst start of his year this year, which actually was not that bad of a start. But still, even DeGrom had a little bit of an off day. It happens to the best of them, okay? Cole, he just didn't have his best stuff yesterday. It happened to the best of them. And this Red Sox team simply hit Yankees pitching. I mean, they hit DeGrom well in Game 1. Game 2, Montgomery, you can't do anything about the 5 infield singles that they had. And then yesterday, they just simply did not do good. So that's kind of how the series went. Like I said, I'm not going to just dwell on this series and sit here and just talk how bad they were. I really want to talk about more the state of the Yankees. Because the Yankees right now, we're not playing up to our abilities. We're not. We have a lot of talent on this roster. We've got a lot of good players. It's a very high-priced team, which it happens in sports. That's how it is. We're not living up to expectations. It's as simple as that. We're 40-37 right now in the year. I can guarantee you, for any fan out there, that through the first 77 games of this year, I think there was a lot of fans that probably would have expected us to be a whole lot better. And I also think there was a lot of fans out there that probably would have expected the Red Sox to be at the bottom of the division, there with the Orioles. Probably better than the Orioles, but not at the top of the division. So there was definitely some unexpected things this year. I also think some people probably expected the Dodgers. I don't think many people expected the San Francisco Giants to have the best record in baseball. I don't think many people expected the Dodgers to be in second place and the Padres to be in third place. I also think many people expected the Twins to be this bad, the Braves to be below 500. So there are a lot of teams out there that are not doing well, but especially with the New York Yankees, because the Yankees went into this year with championship aspirations. They went into the season with World Series aspirations, with World Series expectation. I've said it at the beginning of this year. I think this year is World Series or bust. You don't make the World Series this year, and if you don't win the World Series, there's going to have to be changes not only in the front office but with the roster. And I could speak for any Yankee fan when I say if we don't win the World Series this year and going into the series, there had to be changes made. But right now, there are a lot of Yankee fans out there that are right now that are they're starting to panic. And I understand that right now might be the time to hit the panic button. But there are a lot of Yankee fans out there right now that are just putting all these random things out there and just throwing all these random trade ideas and throwing all these things to do out there that are just completely blown out of proportion and should not even be said. Okay, let me line you some things up with the Yankees. I'm going to break it down by down. The Yankees pitching this season, outside of Garrett Cole, we knew coming into this year was not going to be great. Right? We knew it was, we hoped that it was going to be solid, but outside of Garrett Cole, we knew there was going to be a little bit of a weakness. And obviously, we still don't have Severino, and now that Kluber is obviously injured, which we didn't know coming into the season he was going to get injured. With him getting injured, obviously it also creates more of a weakness. So realistically, the Yankees with a healthy rotation, it isn't a very bad rotation. If you look at Cole, Severino, hopefully he comes back soon. Herman just has not had a good year. And then you got Montgomery at the bottom, who's been very solid, I think. I mean, he can't do anything about that on Saturday, on Saturday with his 5 infield singles he had. The Red Sox were not hitting Montgomery hard. They were getting very soft contact, and they were scoring runs, and there was no other way to put it. And Monty actually pitched very well. He only allowed 3 runs through 6 innings, so he actually pitched pretty solid, but he can't do anything about the 5 infield singles. But the Yankees pitching this year has not been very good. I understand that. It's not been bad, but it hasn't been. It's been It's been average. You got Cole. You go into the year with Cole, Kluber, Tyone, and then Herman and Montgomery. And Herman had a great spring training, and he's showing some promise. And then he doesn't do well. And now he hasn't had a very good season. And, he started off the season really bad. His first 2 starts were terrible. They sent him down to work on some mechanical adjustments. He comes back up, was very good for his next, 9 starts. And then his last 3 starts here have also been bad. So it's kind of been an up and down season for DeGrom. Or not DeGrom, Herman, rather. DeGrom's been up all the way. But Herman, he was bad, then good, and now he's kind of getting a little bit of a rough patch again. So I wouldn't really say the Yankees pitching is really the issue. I know there's a lot of people out there that might say it's the pitching. I would tend to disagree. The Yankees pitching is also hit into some injury, unlucky injury stuff. You have, who at the beginning of the season would have thought Kluber would have went down. Tyone has not been very good, although he has shown some promise in his last 2 starts. Hopefully, maybe he can continue to build on that. I don't think any of us expected Tyone to be this bad, that we expect Tyone to go out there and be the dominant pitcher. No, we expect him to go out there and give us solid starts here and there, but I don't think many of us expected him to be this bad. You got to call up Michael King. Davey Garcia has struggled at AAA, so you got to call up Michael King. And Herman has also struggled. So, honestly, the Yankees have just kind of had some bad luck this year with the pitching. But that also is on Cashman, because, once again, he doesn't go out and solve pitching. I would love this season to go out and get a big-name pitcher, whether that was trading for one or signing one. I would love to go out and get someone like that. We didn't. We kind of took the conservative route. But this season with our pitching, it's kind of been a little bit of bad luck. It's been, Tyone has struggled. Kluber got injured. You got to call up Michael King. He's on and off. Herman has struggled. I don't think many people expected, after the spring training, Herman had to struggle. So Yankees pitching has not been amazing, but it's gotten the job done decent. It's It's not terrible, but it's Tyone's been terrible this season. He's had 2 good starts, but he hasn't been good otherwise. Same thing with Herman. He had a good starts there, but he's been struggling recently. And he got the injury to Corey Kluber, who might not be back until September now. So who knows when he'll be back. But the pitching, that's kind of that. What's really hurting the New York Yankees is, and it's not really the hitting, because I understand we have not had much hits. We have not had many, our offense has not been very good. But, if you're going off of this last series, the Yankees actually hit the ball relatively well. We had 9 hits on Friday, which actually was better than the Red Sox. 9 hits on Friday. Then Saturday we had 7 hits, or 9 hits again. And then yesterday, I believe we had 7 hits. So we had 7 hits. So we had 9 hits on Friday and Saturday, and yesterday we had 7 hits. So to be honest, the Yankees this weekend actually got hits. We were hitting the ball. We were actually getting men on base. And that's what leads me into my next thing. The beginning of the year for the Yankees, our hitting was terrible. Right? Our hitting was awful. We were only getting 2, 3, 5 hits would be very good for us. We were doing terrible. And it still happens here and there. But this weekend, the hitting was actually relatively better. 9 hits on Friday, 9 hits on Saturday, 7 hits yesterday. That's pretty good. If you can get up to the 8, 10, 11 hit range, you should be putting yourself in a good position to win ball games. But the issue with the Yankees is hitting with runners in scoring position. And that has been the Yankees' Achilles heel this entire season, is hitting with runners in scoring position. That has been their issue this entire season. Obviously, Fox had the game on Saturday. They showed up this icon, and it probably got worse because they showed it in the middle of the game, and the Yankees had 2 golden opportunities in the 8th inning, and then again in the 9th inning to have a golden opportunity there with obviously Voit and then Judge. I believe, right, yeah, I believe it was, Voit and then Judge. Obviously, Voit struck out with the bases loaded. Judge struck out with, I believe, first and second, or it might have been bases loaded. I forget all of it. But they showed up this stat that the Yankees this season were batting like 198 with runners in scoring position, which is terrible. And that is all the way at the bottom of the league. And that's the issue with the Yankees. The hitting recently has actually been better. We've been getting hits. Even if you go back to the Royals series, we got 13 hits on Thursday. Wednesday, we had 7 hits. Tuesday, that game we had, Tuesday we had, if I could get up the box score here. Okay, we had 9 hits on Tuesday. So actually, the past 6 games for the New York Yankees, we've actually gotten a lot of hits. But it's the hitting with the runners in scoring position. So it's not currently right now, it's not the hitting. It's mainly the situational hitting. And the issue is because the Yankees aren't really getting the home run ball. We aren't getting the home run ball. We aren't getting that big home run late in the game. We aren't getting the big home runs that we always need. That's the issue with the Yankees, is we've relied so heavily on the home run ball that in big situations, we're not able to get that single or double that we need. And that's why I think it's clutch to have guys like LeMahieu. And I know Judge obviously did not get the job done, but Judge has been much better. Judge has, in the beginning of his career, Judge was very reliant on the home run. He is now more singles, doubles type guy, which I love. Because he's a guy that goes out and hits a lot more singles and doubles now than home runs, which is great. So that's with Judge. But the Yankees this season, it's been the hitting with runners in scoring position. We're not able to get up, not able to get the big hit. You get up with second and third, even scoring runs, not just in big situations. You get a runner on second to start the inning, you find a lot of times the Yankees get out. You get a runner on second, no outs, you find a lot of times that guy doesn't score. Like, you lead off doubles, lead off singles are wasted this season for the New York Yankees. Like LeMahieu, he'll get on a single or a double, and all of a sudden, they don't score. Or it's a double play. That's another thing. Grounding into double plays. That's the issue with the Yankees, is the situational hitting. Not hitting in big moments of the game, and not hitting with runners in scoring position. Like the extra innings, I think that rule is terrible. That's a gift, getting a runner on second base. The Yankees got to do something with that. They haven't done great with that. But to be all fairness, the Yankees have not been in a ton of extra inning games, so that stat's useless. But, you look at it. On Saturday, the 8th inning, bases loaded. You can't get the job done. Then again in the 9th inning, you had runners on. Can't get the job done. 2 golden opportunities to get the win, to possibly split the series. You obviously get smoked yesterday, but at least you would have went into yesterday with a chance at a series win, and they couldn't get the job done. That was the big eye-opener to me on Saturday, was the issues with the hitting with runners on. You had bases loaded in the 8th inning, couldn't get it done. You'd have runners on in the 9th inning, could not get the job done. That's frustrating. That's extremely frustrating. And you get runners on first and second with 1 out, instead of grounding into a double play, try to hit the ball to the outfield. At least hit the ball to the outfield. Because then maybe the runner tags up from third, or from second goes to third, 1 out now. Yeah, now it's first and third with a great opportunity at double play, but at least you got a runner 90 feet from home. Scoring position has been a big issue for the Yankees this year, and we continue to struggle with that. So yes, the pitching was very good at the beginning of the year. It struggled recently. Pitching has not been the biggest issue. The hitting has been much better recently. We've been getting a lot more hits. But what's the big issue with this team is the situational hitting. Hitting with runners on base and hitting in a big moment in the game. And ultimately, scoring with runners on. You get a runner on second to start the inning. You hit a double. And then you don't get that runner home. You're not going to win baseball games if you don't get that runner home. And another thing is the double plays. Grounding into way too many double plays. You get a runner on first, up, you got a single. Oh, you waste that nice single, ground into a double play. You get a runner on second. Okay, maybe you get a runner on first. Then you get a runner, or maybe you get a runner on first and second, one out. Up there it is, inning-ending double play. Double plays, not scoring runners in scoring position, is a big issue with the New York Yankees. And obviously, the average, like I said, the hitting's been better. You cannot sit here and tell me we've not been a good hitting team when the stats show in the last 6 games we've been better hitting. What the issue with this team is hitting with runners in scoring position. Getting that big hit. Moving the runners over. Even if it's a sac fly. It doesn't have to be anything special. Even if it's a little blooper in the outfield that scores 2. You get bases loaded, you can't go up there and strike out twice. Right? You can't do that. And that's the issue with the Yankees. Now, I want to say this. Right? The Yankees right now, obviously, the fans right now in a little bit of a panic mode. And as a fan, I tend not to try to panic much. I try to stay calm. I tend not to. I usually am not very calm during the games. Now I'm calm, when I'm talking about it. And I understand there's a lot of Yankee fan right now in the heat of the moment of you're 0-6 against the Red Sox. You just got swept. And, I understand that, we all have high expectations for them, and I get that. And, when things aren't doing right, you just want to blow everything up. Okay, I understand that. But some Yankee fans right now are taking this thing to another level. They're being a little too crazy with their trade ideas, with what they want to do with this team. Okay, first of all, I think it all has got to start with the GM. You got to get rid of Cashman. Okay, I think you got to get rid of Cashman. And to be honest, I think you got to give him by the All-Star break, give him at the trade deadline, see what he does then. Even if it's a trade deadline, you got to see I think you got to wait a little bit and see how everything plays out. Because if the trade deadline goes, by the All-Star break, if we're at the All-Star break and we're like 2 games above 500 at the All-Star break, there's got to be a thought that crosses Hal Steinbrenner's mind that says, you know what, there is a change. Not with Boone. I would say fire the manager late in the season. Fire him. If you want to fire Boone, do it late in the year. I'm saying to fire Boone. I'm just saying I would not fire Boone in the middle of the season. If I would fire Cashman in the middle of the year, and I'll tell you why. Because Cashman has all the power to trade all these different guys. He has the power at the deadline. That's Cashman. And I'm actually a little concerned that the New York Yankees are going to go out and try to get a huge name player and trade away a ton of their prospects. I don't want this young player, these young prospects, these big name prospects, these young guys in Cashman's hands. I don't. I would rather have him in a trustable GM that likes to build through the farm system. Because right now, Cashman has a bad history of trading away really young and very talented players. He has a very bad history. The main one was getting rid of Justice Sheffield and got Paxton. And Sheffield, has he been great? No, but he's better with the Mariners than when Paxton was with the Yankees. He traded away our number 1 prospect for Paxton. That was terrible. He's also traded away many other prospects here and there. That's the one issue I have with Cashman. I'm all for getting rid of Cashman. I've been for it since he fired Girardi. I have. I've been saying that for the longest time now to fire Cashman since he fired Girardi. I hated when we fired Girardi. We made the ALCS and he fired him out of the blue. I don't know why he did it. Don't ask me. But some Yankees fans are taking this thing to the next level. With these trades I did. Number 1, when has Cashman struck a big trade deadline deal in the last couple years? He hasn't done many. He's made a couple small moves here and there, but nothing major. So all these people going out here and saying, let's get this guy and give up this guy and let's get this guy. It happens every year. Cashman does not make moves at the trade deadline. He doesn't. It's as simple as that. So all these people, and maybe I'm wrong, but all these people that think Cashman's going to be so active at the deadline, he's never active at the trade deadline. He really never has, and frankly, possibly never will be. And another thing I wanted to mention too. Yankees fans need to stop with these trade proposals. Getting rid of Frazier is not going to be easy. People think it's just so easy to trade Frazier. You can't trade Frazier anymore. You want to know why? Because his trade value has taken a massive dip. He went from being one of the top prospects for the Yankees. If the Yankees were going to trade Clint Frazier, you should have traded him then, not now. People that think you're just going to be able to trade Frazier, not many teams are going to want Frazier anymore because he's struggling. The guy's got like a 190 batting average. You really think that's going to be easy to trade Clint Frazier? Now, when Clint Frazier was in the minor leagues, was that the time to trade him? Yes. Because at that time, he was one of the brighter young players for the Yankees, and he showed flashes when he was up in the MLB. That was the time to trade him. And that's when teams were calling in on him. No team is going to want Frazier anymore because he's not playing well. His trade value has taken a massive dip. So all these people that think it's going to be so easy to trade Frazier, people, stop. Stop. Please, stop. Frazier, you're not going to be, it's going to be very hard to trade him now. You can't people don't realize how trades work. You can't just trade the guy. Sure, you might be able to slip him into another deal, but that's if the other team even wants to take on his contract, and that's if another team even want to take him on. He might just be wasting another roster spot. So if the time to trade Frazier was a couple years ago, or last year, or the year before that, not now. He's batting like 190. Now is not the time to trade Clint Frazier. Now is not the time. This Gleyber Torres stuff too. All this Trevor Story talk. Okay. It's going to be very difficult to get Trevor Story. And I'm actually concerned if we go on and get Trevor Story. Because I would rather build through our farm system. At shortstop, we've got a lot of very good young infielders. We've got guys like Oswald Peraza, and we got guys like Anthony Volpe. Personally, I would rather build our shortstop position through the draft and through our prospects, because we have a lot of very good infield prospects. Going out and get Trevor Story, we're going to have to give up a lot, and you're going to have to give up a lot of prospects. And if the Yankees want to build for the future, well, how are you going to build for the future if you don't have many top prospects? So, people got to think. You just got to think. But right now, it's as simple as that. The New York Yankees aren't playing good baseball. And, we got to turn things around. We got to turn it around quickly. And I said it on Friday. I was happy with the way we played against the Royals. I was happy the way, we got the job done against them. But, it's one of those things where, we've just got to be better. And, I said it on Friday. It's not going to be an easy series. I said it wasn't going to be an easy series. You also look at who was up again, who was on tap to pitch for the Yankees. You had Herman, who was struggling. You had Montgomery, I trusted, and Cole, I trusted. And after we lost the first two games going into yesterday's game, you think, okay, Cole's on the mound, and you got to be hopeful that maybe we could salvage one game, but we couldn't even do that. So, right now, I think the Yankees, Boone's got to have a kind of this is one of these times where it's kind of this might be one of these things, too, where it's a player meeting. When things aren't going right, you might need to have a player meeting, and you might need to have a guy, do it in a room, don't have any of the coaches in there. Do it behind closed doors, and meet with each other. Have a player-only meeting. Forget about the coaches, have a player-only meeting. This might be that time. Instead of hearing Boone scream and yell and be mad about the players, have a player-only meeting and have one of those meetings where, this is it. Like, have a guy. It could be anyone. It could be a small-name player. It could be a guy like a Judge or LeMahieu, or it could be a small-name player. Have a guy stand up, and you just let everything out. And find a way to come together as a team. Because you're not going to do this individually. You're going to have to do it as a team. And Yankee right now seem to simply, they just don't look like they really, They look flat. And I've said that for a long time now. The Yankees just look flat. They need someone to boost energy in them. Obviously, it's not Boone because he's tried it a ton of times. He said it in his interview that he's yelled at. He said it in his interview that he's had to talk to the guys. He has said it again many times. I believe he's talked to the guys many times. You can't tell me he didn't say anything to them after yesterday's game. He's always probably talking to the team after each game. I mean, every head coach does that. You always got to have communication with the players. That's sometimes the most successful is player-coach, communication and, player-coach relationships. But, Boone's done it, but obviously Boone isn't, his voice, his yelling, his trying to boost energy into this team isn't working. The Yankees might need to try one of those things where teams have done it, and it's turned team seasons around. They may need to try one of those things where, hey, players need to gather, someone needs to stand up, and they got to get some energy in them because the Yankees right now don't look like they got much energy. They look dead. They're not playing good baseball, and they got to turn things around because this season could get out of hand quickly. When you look at our upcoming schedule, we got 4 against the Angels, plus 1 against Ohtani, which he's been very good. Then you have 3 against the Mets, and then the schedule gets brutal. You have 3 against the Mariners, which you got to hope that you can get the job done against them. But then the schedule gets brutal. Then you have 3 against the Astros, 4 against the Red Sox, another 2 against the Phillies, 4 against the Red Sox, and 3 against the Rays. And you get the Marlins, and then so on and so forth into August. So July is a very tough schedule for the Yankees in July. Very tough schedule. So Yankees got to find any way to possibly squeak out a win. I don't care if it's ugly. I don't care if it's ugly. I don't care. Whatever it is. Get a win, please. That's all I'm asking. And like I said, scoring with runners in scoring position, scoring with runners on, getting that big hit, singles, doubles, getting runners on base, not grounding into double plays, and you'll win a baseball game. Yankees got to do that today. All right, so coming up next, I want to get into the Stanley Cup preview. Lightning versus Canadiens. Give you my pick for the series, and just talk a little bit about it. Not going to spend crazy amount of time on it, but talk a little bit about it, and we'll get into that coming up next. Alrighty, so we welcome you back here. Obviously, Stanley Cup final is set. Game 1 is tonight, and obviously the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Montreal Canadiens. Game 1 tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NBCSN. And, this is what we've all been waiting for. This entire year, we've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for the Stanley Cup final. It stinks that the Rangers aren't in it. Not that I was expecting them to make it, but, every year you got to hope that your team wins it. But, both teams in this series, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Montreal Canadiens, they've both had very good playoffs. And, it was a very, obviously it was a weird, 56 game season. It was a very weird season. It was, not a normal season, only having 56 games, only compared to your regular 82 games, having a little bit of a different playoff format. Only having, 14, the different divisions, having 4 teams from each division go in and stuff like that, the North Division, Canada teams, Canada teams, and all that stuff. It was definitely a very weird season, to say the least. You started with fans, now you don't have that now, or you started without fans, now you have fans, and it was definitely an interesting season, but nonetheless, we got to the point with the Stanley Cup Finals, and obviously, it was a great season. It was an amazing season overall for the NHL, with everything going on, and I thought that Gary Bettman did a great job of, controlling everything. There was a couple, COVID situations here and there with teams, but nothing major, and now, obviously, as, things start to get back to normal, you can honestly say you operated a pretty successful season under very uncertain circumstances and very odd circumstances, to say the least. And it was good to see that. It's good to see that we're at the Stanley Cup, and it's good to see that we're at the point with the Montreal Canadiens and the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I kind of look at this game as kind of like a big brother, little brother type game. The big brothers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, they're back in it again. They're back in the Stanley Cup Finals again. You had another Tampa sports team making it. You can't just get to that first. Tampa Bay has been spoiled with their sports teams in the past couple years. You obviously had the Rays that started it all off. They made the World Series. They didn't win, but they got to the World Series. Or you actually had the Lightning who won it. You had the Lightning who won the Stanley Cup. Then you had the Rays who got to the World Series. They didn't win, but they got there. Then you had the Bucks who won the Super Bowl. And now the Lightning are going back again. So you have like you had made the championship 4 times. 3 championship wins. The Bucks, through 2 championship wins. And 4 times you've made it to championship over the past year and a half. 2 years now. So it's really crazy how Tampa Bay sports have been spoiled like this. But it's the truth. They've been spoiled. They've had winning. I hope New York sports is like that eventually. But they've had many winning ways. And they continue to win. And that's how I see this. This is like a big brother, little brother type game. Because you got the big brother, you got the favorite, you got the star-studded team with all the good players, and you got the Tampa Bay Lightning, a very good team, a very solid goalie, very good offense. And you got the Canadiens who, are working very well together as a team. And you've got one of the better goalies in the playoffs in Carey Price, who was one of the best goalies back then, has kind of shown a little bit of, has shown, a little bit of age in the regular season, but has turned it up in the regular season. And turned it up in the postseason, rather. And now you've got the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Canadiens. And obviously the Lightning, a team who, second year making it in a row, an opportunity to win their second straight. And the Canadiens, who have a 28-year drought, and went into this playoffs with the worst record for any playoff team. They were 24, 21, and 11 on the season. And the Lightning were 36, 17, and 3. So Canadiens going into this, we're not expected to make the playoff. We're not expected to make the championship at all. And to look at what the Canadiens had to go through, the Canadiens beat the Maple Leafs, they beat the Jets, and they went ahead and beat the Vegas Golden Knights. And what the Lightning had to go through is the Lightning beat they beat the Panthers, they beat the Hurricanes, and then they just beat the Islanders, which gets us here to the Lightning and the Lightning and the Canadiens. And to really get into situational stuff for this game, for this series, personally, if you had to ask me who I think will win, I would have to give it to the Lightning. I understand that I've said that all the time against the Canadiens. I get that. But the one thing with the Lightning here is they're just such a very good fundamental team. They do everything right. They do the things that they're supposed to do. They do them in a right way. They play very fast hockey. They get opportunities. They take a lot of shots. They're gonna put pressure on you. Their defense is solid. They definitely stepped up against the Islanders. If they need to step up, they will. They got a very good goaltender in Semyon Varlamov. Very rarely do you see teams have a very good goaltender and a very good offense. You a lot of times see teams with, a good goaltender and a very good offense. Not a very good offense and a very good goaltender. And that's what the one thing is going to be tough with the Canadiens, is are they going to be able to get shots past not Semyon Varlamov. Are they going to be able to get shots past Andrei Vasilevsky? Because not many teams out there were able to do it. I mean, the Islanders were not able to really get the job done in Game 7. They did not get a goal. They were not able to get the job done in Game 7 against Andrei Vasilevsky. They obviously lost 1-0. But are the Canadiens a team? They got shots past Marc-Andre Fleury. They got shots past Robin Lehner. Are they going to be able to get good shots, good looks, good opportunities against Andrei Vasilevsky? Because if they are, they could very well be on their way to a Stanley Cup final win. But if they can't, and the defense and the offense of the Lightning take over, Braden Point, Steven Stamkos, Nikita Kucherov, guys like that, Victor Hedman on the defensive side of the puck, if they can do that, if they can, put shots and get pressure offensively, it's going to be a long series for the Canadiens. That's how I see this. As much as both these teams' offenses has performed, Nick Suzuki, Tyler Toffoli, Shea Weber's been good for the Jeff Petrie, for the Canadiens, and Braden Point, Victor Hedman, and, Steven Stamkos and Nikita Kucherov. Those guys have been very good. Kucherov definitely through the playoffs. Obviously, did not play in the regular season. As much as both these teams have been very good on offense throughout the playoffs, I think this series is really going to come down to who has the better goaltending. If Vasilevsky shuts down the Canadiens, as much as Carey Price is very good, with Braden Point and all those star-studded guys over there, the Canadiens cannot get their backs against the wall. That's another the Canadiens. If they want to win this series, they cannot fall behind early. They cannot go down in this series like 2-1 or 2-0. They got to find a way to at least take one game in Tampa to head back home to Montreal. They got to find a way to at least take one game. You can't go down 2-0 in Tampa, try to head back to Montreal, make a comeback. No. You got to find a way to win one game in Tampa. Another thing to set the series. But as much as both these teams have talented players on the offensive side of the puck, good forwards, good wings, good shots, good physicality, I think it's going to come down to the two goaltenders, Andrei Vasilevskiy and Carey Price. Carey Price has been dominant. Andrei Vasilevskiy has been dominant. I think it's going to come down to who wins in the trenches. It's going to come down to who takes advantage of their opportunities. I think it's going to come down to ultimately who gets the big shots late in games, who puts more pressures on the goalie. Because if you put pressure on a goalie, you get a lot of shots. It's going to get him tired. It's going to get him worn down. I think it's going to come down to who puts more pressure, who puts more, physicality, who is more physical, who gets more shots, who takes advantage of their opportunities. Because the Canadiens have got to take advantage of their opportunities. They're the underdog here. You got to take advantage of their opportunities, right? You can't win this series with getting good looks and good shots and not scoring. You got to take advantage of it. Because Andrei Vasilevskiy, he's not going to make many mistakes. If you get an opportunity where he made a mistake, you got to capitalize. So it's capitalizing on opportunities, it's getting good shots, it's putting pressure on, it's physicality, and it's goaltending. That's what's going to come down to who's going to win this series. And ultimately, I think the Tampa Bay Lightning win this series in 6 games. I think they're going to have home ice advantage, right? They're going to have their crowd behind them. I do think they take game 1 tonight, as much as I think it would be great to see the Canadiens win it. Not that I'm rooting for the Canadiens at all. I don't really care who wins this series. I do think it would be cool to see the Lightning go back-to-back, but you could also see it would be cool for the Canadiens to win for the first time in 28 years. And an underdog in itself, whether they won last year or not, they were an underdog going into the playoffs, and they're still an underdog. I do think the Lightning win the series. I just think they have the better overall team. I've said that for the longest time now. I have the Lightning making the Stanley Cup final. You look at their roster, they've had one of the most talented rosters out of every team. You could say the Colorado Avalanche did. I still think the Lightning did. Did the Avalanche work really well together? They had very good goaltending. Yes, the Avalanche had, Nico Rottinen and, Nathan McKinnon. But, you look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, they got good guys up and down that roster. I mean, there's not many holes in the roster for the Tampa Bay Lightning that you could look at. And, the Canadiens have been very good as well. But, Kucherov, Braden Point, guys like that, are the Canadiens going to have enough physicality, enough, ability to stop this such a dominant force on the offensive side? Kucherov, Braden Point, Stamkos, Hedman, Cirelli, Palat, Coleman, McDonough. All those guys have been very, very good for this team. And you look at the goaltending, and Andrei Vasilevskiy has played all 18 games, 12-6, 1.99 goals allowed per game, which is just unbelievable. And then if you look at the Canadiens, like I said, it's going to come down to the goaltending. Look at the goaltending on the Canadiens. Carey Price has done all 17 games. He's 12 and 5, 2.02 goals allowed per game. It's really crazy. He's 12-4-1 total, and it's really something else with this goaltending. That's what I think it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to goaltending. And it's going to come down to taking advantage of your opportunities. Because they're not going to give it. These goalies don't make many mistakes. Carey Price and Vasilevskiy don't make many mistakes. When they do make a mistake, when you catch them looking the other way, when you catch a great opportunity for a one-timer, you got to put it in the back of the net. Tyler Toffoli has been the team leader in points, goals, and assists in the postseason. Nick Suzuki's right behind him. Caulfield has been very good. He's the young guy. He's been awesome to watch. He's been just something else. Just he's been dominant this season, this playoff. Cole Caulfield, the youngster, he's only, I believe, 20 years old. I believe he's out of Wisconsin. He's had some playoff. Then you look at, Cora Perry and Eric Stahl was an offseason. It was an acquisition in the at the trade deadline. He's been very good. He's fourth on the team in points this offseason. And you go down to guys like Jeff Petrie and Shea Weber and Brandon Gallagher. Brandon Gallagher, Shea Weber, they're going to be the guys that bring the physicality. Go down to Philip Denault, and then you kind of round out the roster with Kulak and Thomas, and guys like Tater and all those guys. So you just look at the Lightning roster. I think they're a little bit more talented. I would, as much as Carey Price has been very good, I just think you got to give the upper hand, a little bit to Vasilevsky. And in terms of taking advantage of your opportunities, you get a one-timer where Price might be looking the other way, or you get a great opportunity for a slap shot to put it over, his 5-hole, or put it over, his left shoulder, right shoulder, tip in. Lightning just have been very good at doing that. So give me the Lightning, 6 games. I think the Lightning win the Stanley Cup. That's my Stanley Cup prediction. So obviously it's it's pretty crazy that I don't think many people expected the Canadiens to be in it, and that's what I said all along here, right? I don't think whoever wins the series, I don't think it's bad, because it's not like there's one team that you're strongly rooting against. I really don't. Now, if you're an Islander fan, you might be rooting against the Lightning, which, all fairness, you could. They knocked you out for the second straight year in a row. So if you're a Lightning fan, I understand your frustration. I understand why you're going to want them to lose. I get that. I to be honest with the Bucks right now, I don't want them to make it. They knocked us out. I'm not. Yeah, I know a lot of people, when they get knocked out, they'll root for that team. I'm not that kind of person. So I get that. I'm not an Islander fan, though. I'm a Ranger fan. So I get that. But, both these stories would be excellent. The Lightning winning back-to-back, and then you get the Canadiens winning it for the first time in 28 years. So both these teams, I think, would be excellent to see win. Like I said, I'm just hoping for a good series. I'm hoping that both these teams play well. I'm hoping that it's not a blowout. I hope that the Lightning, Lightning or Canadiens, I don't really want to see that a team. I hope that the Lightning really don't win in a sweep, or I hope the Canadiens don't really sweep. I don't want to see any team sweep. I want to see a series that goes 6-7 games. I would love the series to go to distance, but give me the Lightning. All right, so let's get into the New York Sports Update here to finish off the podcast. Sports Update, whatever you want to call it. Bucks won yesterday, 113-102, so they're up 2-1 in the series. And tonight, we got the Suns and the Clippers. Give me the Suns. Suns are up 3-1 in the series. Give me the Suns. They'll move on. NHL, obviously, like I said, I think the Lightning will win tonight. Let's see, score 3-1. 3-1 Lightning win. I think they'll score an empty net goal late. It will be something like a 2-1 game, and I think they'll score an empty net goal late. As for today, we got the yesterday, Dodgers won, White Sox won, Padres won, A's won, Pirates won, Rangers won, Brewers won, Twins won, Mariners won, Tigers won, Angels won, Braves won, Blue Jays won, and Nationals won. Phillies beat the Mets yesterday 4-2. Mets moved to 40-33 on the season, and the Mets bats are just not on. 2 runs, 7 hits, 2 errors. Just not able to get the job done for the New York Mets. As for the Yankees yesterday, they lost 9-2. They moved to 40-37 on the season. No other way to put it. We were terrible yesterday. Simple as that. As for today, we got the Rockies and the Pirates. I'll give Rockies the win. Reds, Phillies, I'll give Reds the win. Red Sox, Royals, I'll give Red Sox the win. Indians, Tigers, I'll give Indians the win. Brewers, Cubs, I'll give Brewers the win. Cheaters, Orioles, I'll give Cheaters the win. White Sox, Twins, give White Sox the win. Cardinals, Diamondbacks, give Cardinals the win. Dodgers, Giants, give Dodgers the win. And as for today, we got the Mets and the Nationals. A very weird one-game set. I believe this is a makeup game, so I believe this was supposed to be an off day for these teams, but it's not. So the Mets have got to travel to the Nationals. They'll play a game today, and then they'll head to Atlanta for 3. Then they'll go back to New York, but to Yankee Stadium for 3. Obviously for the Subway Series. The Met starter is Eekhoff. He's the only Met starter that I know. Other than that, he's the only starter I know. These games is on today, 7-5 p.m. Mr. Tom and Mason and SNY. So, I guess I'll give Nationals the win. Mets have been struggling. This is kind of a weird one-game set. Don't even know the National starter pitcher. Just give me the Nationals, I guess. All right, so as for today, we got the Yankees and the Angels. Yankees coming in this game 40-37. Angels coming in this game 37-40. This game goes on today, 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time on MLB Network. You could also find this game on Yes Network. The Angels starting pitcher is Dylan Bundy. He's coming out with a 1-7 record and a 6.68 ERA. And the Yankees got Michael King on the mound. He's 0-3 with a 4.05 ERA. The over-under is 10.5 for this game. 76% of people think the Yankees will win. Bundy stinks this season. He's been terrible. 6.68 ERA. And I don't think the Yankees will. The Yankees got to prove that they can, win. And then, I'll give them a win. But that's the one issue, is Bundy's been terrible this year. He's been terrible this year. But, King has also been He's kind of been, he's had moments, but he's had flashes, but nothing crazy. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, personally. Alrighty, so as for fantasy baseball, I lost 366 to 306. So I moved to 7-5 on the season. And today I've got going Yadier Molina, Luke Voigt, Whit Merrifield, Josh Johnson, Carlos Correa, Christian Yelich, Dylan Carlson, Avisail Garcia, Josh Rojas, and Will Smith. And other than that, no other guys going. No real new injury updates. In terms of the guys that are on the IL. I do have this update on Tyler Glass now. It's a couple of days old now. I mean, it's on Saturday, so today's Monday, so it's about 2 days old here. But an update on Tyler Glass now. Glasnow elbow expressed that he was pretty optimistic about being able to come back sooner than later, based on how his arm is currently feeling. In an appearance on Chris Rose's Rotation podcast Friday, the team's official site reports. So, I don't know when he'll be back. If he'll be back anytime soon, but you just gotta hope that he's back sooner rather than later, because, he's been very good this season. So, we'll see how everything plays out with him. Other than that, Bregman, Segura, both their coaches said that they expect him to be out for a little while. So, not very good news there, but, I got to admit, I've been nailed with injuries, but it's been stages. It's not like all at once I got nailed with injuries. I shouldn't say that, because I do get hit hard with injuries. I go through these, my teams, the players, they go through these little, period areas where, one time they're, my team's healthy, and then a couple weeks later they're not. So that's almost how it is. Even though I've got all these injuries, then Voigt got healthy. So that's been one of the things that's actually been kind of good. I get injuries, but then I kind of get a little healthier, but then I get injuries, but at the same time I'm getting a little healthier. So it's not terrible, but still would love to have no one on the IL. I always say that, you got to put the IL and the injured IR spots in for H League. I get that, but I always say that I hope I never have to use it. I would love for all my teams to just be healthy and no injuries at all. I know that ain't going to happen, but we'll see how it all plays out. So anyway, that's what I got for the podcast here today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Obviously, it was another good podcast. Yankees on tonight. Mets on tonight. Other than that, that's all. New York sports right now. Just baseball. So, Yankees and Mets. Got to start to put on some good performances, or else you're going to start to really frustrate New York fans. Because now there's no more hockey. Basketball's all done in New York. So, football's obviously still in the offseason across the league. So, now it's all down to baseball. And this is what happens. I mean, every summer it's like this. It comes down to just baseball. So, the baseball team's got to start to step it up and put on good performances to get these New York fans happy. Because not many New York fans right now are happy. Islander fans aren't happy. I mean, they lost again. The, Net fans like me, frustrated that we lost. Ranger fan, we didn't make the playoffs. Not that we were expecting that, but still. So, now it's time for baseball to take over. Now it's time to baseball to please win some games, put some good performances out there for the fans, New York fans. Not the Mets. I like the Mets to keep losing. I love when they lose. But Yankees, please, turn things around, please. But tonight's a big game. I mean, you lose tonight, it's not good, to say the least. And that, like I said, I'm going to sound like a broken record with the Yankees, but it's the truth. I mean, it's just how it is. We're struggling right now. So, anyway, that's what I got for the podcast here today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. It was another good podcast in the books. As always, I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.